Welcome, 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 everybody. Time for more Lionel train stuff. Um, this stream is probably going to be kind of short. It's already 9 o'clock. I'm sorry I didn't announce it, but I've just been busy. I haven't really even been on the computer that much. Been putzing around with stuff, digging out everything under the bed, and got a few other stories to tell you, I guess. But anywho, you get the webcam going. There you go. Oh no, I'm white. Once again, not gonna care about it. Not gonna try to cover anything up. Why wire for my headphones? Hold on. Hi there, Bern. How you doing? Wire for my headphones is underneath the wire for the webcam, and it's causing some issues. There we go. That's better. Wire's still gonna be in the way of this camera all the time, but at least it's not underneath another wire. Yeah. All right. So let's see. First thing on the docket. This was on the top of the box. This is a cool crossbuck thing that I bought at a train show years ago. My grandma on my dad's side took me to a train show once, Connecticut. I didn't buy much. I think I got a couple of switches actually. 027 switches, pretty cheap. I think I got an HO locomotive too, which was a little silly because I don't do much with HO. But it's a nice crossbuck. And you can see there's parts. There's some thumb screws for wires. I was expecting this to be like a crossbuck. Yeah, right. Long black gloves. Yeah, no thanks. It's way too hot for that. I was expecting this to be like a classic American crossbuck that goes ding 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 when the train comes. No. These two bells, that should have been the hint that no, this thing sounds like an old phone ringing when it goes off. Like that. It's very loud. It is kind of neat to have still. And, you hook it up to something, a pressure sensor under the tracks, so that when the train crosses over that pressure sensor, it goes off, basically. And the reason why this was right on top of this box that we're about to go through is because for a long time I used this not on the train table per se, but I had this wired up to it was in the room next door when I was living next door with the train tables and stuff, but I had it wired up to the transformer down in the basement that's used for the doorbells, if that makes any sense to people. Like when you have a doorbell, old-fashioned doorbell anyway, it's wired up to a little step-down transformer that takes 120 volts and steps it down to like 12 or something. It's more than 12, but it's not many volts. And then it sends that power out to the different boxes for the doorbells, right? It has little electromagnets that go ding dong. But anyway, so what I did is I took this, I wired it up to that transformer down there anyway, because it's the transformer's hardwired to a power circuit. It's always on anyway, in case somebody wants to ring the doorbell, I guess. So then you just take the wires from the that would set it off, basically. So one wire from the transformer for the power, one wire straight to this thing. And then I had a little doorbell button that I put next to my mom's computer on this side of the house. So what she would do if she wanted to get my attention, tell me to come over or whatever. I guess maybe this was before we realized I could just have Facebook open all the time, because that's what we do now. But this works too, and then she would hit the doorbell button on her side, and this thing would ring like crazy. And I had it, pretty close to me. And then I also had a doorbell button on my side that powered a little Gateman, Lionel Gateman thing. It's like a little. It's not going to be in this box, I'm sure, but it's a little. It's a little plastic house with a little with a light in it and a little man that pops out of the door when you hit the button. So if I wanted to call her, I would press my button and it would pop the little man out of the house and it would buzz to it and it would light up and the man would pop out. Even though it did all that, she usually didn't notice it anyway. And then since this house always had hard hard line for phones, fun fact about hard lines for phones, like a regular phone line, is even if you have no phone service, and this hasn't had a hardline phone service for years and years and years, because it's an extra, 20 to $30, probably 30 something a month. And why would you bother when you could either have a hardline phone from a house phone from your cable company, although it does cost money, or what we did, or what most people do, is just not have a house phone at all because everybody's got cell phones anyway. Although sometimes I kind of miss having a house phone. It can come in handy. So anyway, if the house still has phone jacks in the walls and it's connected to the telephone pole outside, even though you don't have phone service, you'll never get the dial tone, you can't call in, can't get calls coming in. There's still power running through those lines. It's a low voltage power. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is if you have two phones plugged into the same phone line, as long as it's got some kind of power source, like it's still connected to the pole, even though it's not turned on to work like a phone, the phones will still work. You can still use them in the house talking to each other on those phones. You can't make them ring, which is why we had this system for the ringers. But the phones will still work. You can still talk to each other on the phone. So I had my old rotary phone in my room, and then over here I had some other not as old, regular house phone type thing next to her computer, and so we would buzz each other, and then you would pick up the phones and you could talk to each other. It was a pretty neat system. It was kind of complicated, and the only downside was that gateman thing that I used to buzz her with on this side. It didn't always fire off too good, and it didn't make much noise, so if you weren't really paying attention enough, you would miss it. Since I found a place. Oh, no, that's fine. What did I do for that? That is chroma key. Uh, Hold on. I did it a while ago now, so I don't remember. I think it's a filter. It's in OBS. Filters. Filters. Color key, it's called. Color key, and then you select the color of the background, I think. It's almost like an eyedropper, like for Photoshop or whatever. You select the color of the background and it makes it transparent. Or you can, I think there's also sliders you can play with. Yeah, that's what I did. No, that's a good question. Actually, mine is always clear like that because I'm very simplistic. I don't have any fancy overlay. Chroma keys. It has to be the same color as my V2 Studio color key. You're trying to make it transparent, right? So that you can put it over like that. Hmm. Oh. Yeah, I don't know then because all I did maybe you can select it separate. Like what I did is I captured. I think this is window capture for Twitch chat. I always pop out my Twitch chat into a separate window. So I guess maybe I do it kind of the old-fashioned way. I pop out the Twitch chat and I stick it over on the side monitor, and then I window captured that. And then I did the color key. And that's what I do anyway. Oh, I don't know if you saw. I think I put a picture of it from Discord. I don't know. I've been so busy lately. Things have been a mess. But last night I streamed looking at train stuff, and kind of late in the stream, my third monitor on the right side died. It just went black, and then the power button just started flashing on, off, and the screen went from black on to black off, if that makes any sense. Something happened power-wise inside that monitor, and it was not the power cord. I tried swapping out the power cord. It happens even if it's not hooked up to the VGA cord at all, so when things settle down with all my train boxes and stuff, then I suppose, before I throw it out anyway, I'll take it apart and see if there's anything super obvious, like a blown up capacitor or something that I can swap out. But most likely I'm not going to be able to save it. It's a damn shame because I really liked that monitor. It was a nice big square one. Actually, coloring wise, it almost looked better than my main monitor that I use most of the time in the middle. Oh, you probably refold you're gonna stream your games on. Oh, cool. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I never even tried to use like fancy overlays. Like I know there's these different overlays that you can use, like graphical overlays that puts like a frame around the window of the game that you're playing and a frame for where the chat goes and stuff like that. I've never tried that. I've actually gotten somebody messaging me on Discord trying to get me to use that stuff, and I was like, I like to keep my stuff simple, I guess. The problem with my way is whenever I want to stream a specific game or the webcam or something, I have to set it all up. I have to set up a new scene and figure out what's gonna fit where and stuff like that. But once I set it up once, it should be good. I don't have any fancy transitions, which I really kind of should have, because I do have that fancy intro-outro screen. Well, it's kind of fancy. And then I just kind of pop in and say hi. There should be some kind of, transition, but whatever. I'm not that fancy. Sounds like a ghost issue with the monitor. I don't know. I gotta take it apart and see if there's nothing obvious, like a wire or a capacitor or something that looks like that obviously burned out and went bad. Then I don't think it would be the LED part of the monitor. So I think then the power would still be on, there just wouldn't be a display, I think. I don't know. I gotta mess around with that. It just pissed me off because this is just a really bad time for that to happen, because I've already got my room torn apart trying to clear out the space underneath my bed to fit these train boxes, and then I had to deal with that last night. So I have 3 monitors still, but the third monitor on the right is my mom's old CRT monitor from when she had a Windows ME computer circa circa year 2000. Well, maybe even late 1999. It was Windows ME, Windows Millennium. Tell you how old this freaking computer was. The tower is long gone. I actually have a couple little parts from the tower. I don't know why, because they're so outdated. It's ridiculous. But the monitor, it still works. It always has. It probably always will. It'll probably work after we're all dead and buried. because it's a CRT. That's the thing. They might be ugly and take up a lot of room and stuff, and the screen size actually isn't all that big. But they don't really stop working. So, let's see. Probably mess things up a little bit, but if I spin the camera over and up, there it is. All its glory. Freaking CRT monitor. And the problem with it is it's so freaking big. Just the size of the whole monitor. Not the screen, of course. The screen isn't that big. But the size of the monitor is so big you can see my keyboard just barely fits on the desk in front of it. It's rough. It's an adjustment to get used to. And I don't know. It's probably going to hurt my wrists and stuff to use the keyboard like that. But till I can come up with something better. I got to check out Facebook Marketplace or something and see if I can find somebody getting rid of their flat screens cheap. Because when people have flat screen monitors, they don't want. If they're like a widescreen monitor, they try to get a decent price for it. But like the one that just died on me, if it's square shape instead of widescreen, oh, it's got to be a rectangle. If it's square, nobody wants it. This guy had it on Facebook Marketplace. I think he had it on there for like $30, and then nobody wanted anything to do with it. He ended up selling it for $5 on Facebook Marketplace, and my mom went and picked it up. $5. And it's a big screen. It was probably my best monitor, really. I'd whip it out and show it to you, but I think it's kind of buried. It's a big square screen, but it's square. Like games are widescreen. There's gonna be a bar on the top and the bottom. So what? It's beautiful. It had the best coloring wise, like the black levels and stuff. I think it was almost better than my main, 19, 20-inch screen, whatever, widescreen monitor that's in the middle. It was better. I liked it better. But I had it on the right side, and I would put like all my streaming stuff on there, like the media player and volume levels and the timer and the chat and all that. But if I was playing like Hard Truck 2 or some other older game that wants to be a square, then I would play it on that monitor. I had to set that monitor to be primary instead of the one that's usually primary. And then the games that want to be full screen and stuff like that would just pop up on that monitor, square, and it worked. It worked fine. So I'm kind of upset about that monitor dying. I mean, I can't whine about it too much. It was $5, It lasted me like a year and a half. It was already old and used when I got it. So okay, trains. Stop yakking. Most of these trains I noticed are in boxes. Lionel boxes. These trains in this box, mostly I think, are going to be modern era trains. So 1970s into early 80s. I think these are like mid 70s. This is going to be like a whole set that I bought. I think I bought the whole set together. Maybe not the locomotive. The locomotive might have been separate. I don't remember. I think the cars were all one set, and then I got the locomotive. But I got them like super cheap. Even though you'll see in a minute, they're in good shape. It's just nobody cares about it because it's from like mid 70s. It's modern era. They built. What? Some of the stuff is not built as cheaply as they were built in the 60s. When after like 58, 59, I want to say. Lionel stuff kind of went downhill a lot. I mean, they still put out a lot of stuff, but it was just not as good build quality. They were cheaping out on a lot of stuff trying to survive, really. So, train number 1. This is the locomotive. I guess I don't have the box for the locomotive. Yeah, the locomotive is separate. The locomotive doesn't have a box. There you go. This is an NW2 Butcher. This is the style. And a lot of this modern era 70s stuff mechanically might be a little bit different, but a lot of it is like kind of carryovers from the older stuff too. Like I think this plastic shell, maybe. You know, the paint obviously is completely different. And chassis system wasn't around until the 70s. Chassis system was brand new. I always loved the chassis system paint job. I really wish this railroad lasted longer. You know, the C for the chassis is a cat. How do you not like that? You know, Beano 8556. It's a little dusty, but this I would say is in excellent condition. The paint is unblemished, I'm pretty sure. Last time I looked at it, it was anyway. And I know it runs good. It's got this thing where the couplers manage to get under the stairs, and then you gotta get them back, but that's just the way they always were. You know, it is cheaper build quality, but it's pretty heavy. And the motor works just fine. It doesn't shatter, not shatter, that's not the right word, but it doesn't like shudder and buzz and not move and stuff like that, like those 4-tonners that I showed you last night too. You know, it works. That's the most important thing. It works. It's a good runner. Got a headlight. It does have an E unit. Yeah, it's got a regular E unit. It's not the type that you have to manually switch to forward and reverse. It's regular automatic E unit. It works. The E unit might be a little sticky or something. I don't remember now, but this I would call this excellent condition. Pretty damn close anyway. The sheet metal frame does have some rust, actually. I'm noticing. Yeah, there's some rust on the sheet metal. So not excellent, but better than good. I would say very good. And this is what I used to pull the modern era stuff, but it wasn't together as a set, I don't think. Let me look up. I think if I remember correctly, try to remember. I bought a set of cars. I think I bought the caboose separate from the other cars. I bought the locomotive separate than the other cars, but I did my research. I think at the end of the day, I put together a set. Like an actual set. So I figured it should be worth a decent amount of money, hopefully. Not that I'm ever going to sell it, but... $85.56. Chassis system NW2, made in 75 and 76. Oh, right, this book for modern era it uses excellent and like new instead of good and excellent. It's a little annoying. So excellent is 145 and like new is 175. It's definitely not in like new condition. It's a little less than excellent because I like I said, the sheet metal frame does have some rust on it actually. I don't think it was that rusty before. I didn't have a place I could store it. I just didn't. So it's probably worth like 130. Still not bad. I think I probably paid like somewhere between 50 and 80 for it when I bought it on eBay. If I remember correctly, somewhere around there. It was a while ago. I know I got it at a relatively good price. So that's that. And let me get the other book. This is the modern era book. You can see it. Still not very good at using the camera correctly. Just want to see the NW2 page for the heck of it. Now in post-war, the NW2 switchers and other diesels are always kind of split up between pre and post 1955. Because after 55 is when they cheaped out and used the, like... I mean, there's still relatively good stuff, but, they used sheet metal frames instead of die-cast metal frames, that kind of stuff. But in, of course, modern area, everything's just going to be sheet metal frames, you know, except the really, really high-end expensive stuff, which, you know, they always had a hard time selling, probably, because toy trains was just a different thing then. Oh, there she is, 8556. Jesse system. '75 and '76. Oh, Lionel decided to spend an unusual amount of money for decorating a switcher to see what kind of response they'd received. Oh, cool. Paint masks were expensive because the 3 colors were involved and the switcher body has a lot of detail. It is really nice. Artistic success, but its sales record was disappointing. Yeah. Well, 1975. But anyway, the reason why I whipped out this book is I want to look at sets. Because I think I used this book to make sure I was putting a set together. You know, I only got one big box and a smaller box that's very heavy. It's probably all locomotives to go through this time, so I guess I figure I'll just waste some more. Sets. Passenger cars and sets. Actually, this book goes up to early 90s. I think this is all passenger sets. Yeah, here's more normal sets. This is a good stream of content, isn't it? Oh, 1970s. Why you're not showing me the date now? This is not arranged by years. I want to make sure that I didn't screw up making this set, but I'm pretty sure I did this the right way. Not Sears. Chassis system. That's 84, 85. That's a 442 chassis. It's hilarious. Chassis had any steam engines. The sworn Chesapeake Iron. Yeah, I'll have to look it up later. I don't want to waste a lot of time on this. Just 8670? No. There was a true value set. A lot of wacky, interesting stuff that they had back in the 70s, but people didn't really care about trains as much back then. Problem. J.C. Penney Cargo Master. Okay, I'm not gonna keep wasting time with this. Thought I was just gonna be able to find it. I was hoping it would go by more by year, but it's not quite that simple. Okay, now we're talking about 90s. It's 74, 75. It wasn't like uncategorized, uncatalogued or anything. I'm pretty sure I put a set together. But I didn't buy it as a set because that would have been too expensive. But I found different cars, and it started probably with the freight cars, and I was like, wait a minute, is this part of a set? Oh, what if I got this? Anywho, let's move on. Paper is fine. A lot of these are in boxes, but this one's not. That's how I know I didn't buy it. So it's really pretty nice condition, but it's from the 70s. Pretty much. Okay, I should have more space up on my bed this time. I think. Hey, look, boxes. Now, Lionel stuff. The boxes are really important. A lot of times. Uh-oh, this one's got it's like spider web inside of it. Oh god. But a lot of times, something in a box is worth more than out of a box, which does make sense. But then the box gets quality graded too. This box is pretty rough. It's bent up on the side. The flaps are all there though. A little worried about what's inside here. Gonna crawl out and get me. Hope not rip a tab. These are very. It's hard to open it correctly, basically. I get under this tab. See, the problem is the little corner of the tab gets caught underneath the flap. And then you end up ripping off the tab, or the flap. Try the other end. That end might be better. Bay window, NYC bay window. This is very 70s. Okay, the end of the car there says NYC bay window, and then there was another label that was on top of it. It's not there anymore. This said Erie bay window, because that's what it is. Actually, it says $20. 91.84, $20. Interesting. I don't remember what I paid for it. I don't think that's what it went for on eBay. I think I paid a little more. Could be wrong though. I know that this modern era stuff though, it's not worth much. Just people don't care. Really don't like to look at that spider web or whatever it is. Really should have found a better place to store these, but I just didn't have a better place. So that's the end to open. The other end, I don't think I could ever open it without ripping off the box. Okay, whatever that is dead. Fine. Okay, this doesn't look bad. I don't like what's going on with the plastic glass of the window of the box, but the car itself is fine. I hate this. I hate this so much. So there's these plastic steps that stick down, right, on the ends of the caboose. And then you've got the truck that spins around with the coupler, and it flexes just enough. It snaps back and rotates the wrong way. And you kind of have to rotate it that way to fit it in the box perfectly, too. But then you have to, kind of wiggle things around and be very careful to get it back under the steps. It's annoying. Anywho, I'm not going to even bother fixing that, but it's not even something you have to fix. You just got to wiggle it a little bit. But you got to be careful not to break stuff, basically. Because since this is 70s, and it was, cheaper 70s stuff, it's got a sheet metal frame, at least. But the trucks, the couplers, they're plastic. Everything that can be plastic is plastic. You know, that's just the way it is. But it looks really nice. I don't know how well you can see the paint job, but this is in, I want to say, excellent condition unless I see rust on the frame again. This is really nice. This is a bay window caboose. It's Erie bay window caboose. It says radio equipped. I love it. 9184. It's not worth much of anything, but it's really nice, and it's got a light bulb in it. It lights up. I think I had to resolder a wire or something to make this work, or this contact wheel down here. Doesn't have a good enough spring. Like it's not forcing itself down on that third rail good enough, I think. So the light kind of flickers a lot when it goes around the track, I think, if I remember correctly. But it does work. And I'm sure you could do some finagling and get a better spring or something and make it work better. But it does work. And not much to say. It's a nice caboose. It's a nice, it was cheap at the time, I guess. So nowadays it's still cheap. Nobody really cares about it. 91.84. Should be mid-70s still. Erie bay window caboose. Oh, 77 to 78. Oh no, this isn't part of the set. There's something else that is. Right, this is separate. This is not part of the set. Erie bay window caboose in excellent condition, which I would say this one is. I'll look at it one more time, make sure there's no rust, but I'm pretty sure it is. Excellent condition, $23. Like new condition, $33. It's not even worth that much more to be condition. So, this, of course, 2002 numbers still, but yeah. It's just people don't really care about them. I don't remember what I paid for it. It says 20 on the box, but I don't think that's what I paid for it. That's what somebody else paid before me, probably. Built 176, it says on the side. I guess that doesn't really matter much. What was I gonna say about this? It's nice. It's got a little smokestack here. It's for being quote unquote cheap, crappy, whatever. It's pretty damn nice. And oh yeah, I was gonna look for rust. I don't think there's any rust on this thing, which means the locomotive that we just looked at maybe always had some rust on it. But yeah, this is excellent condition, I'd say. Okay, now we got to get it back in there. A little remnants of spider egg or whatever that is. That's on the outside of the plastic window thing, so I'm not too worried about it, the clear plastic stuff. Can we get in the box the rest of the way, please? Why not? What doesn't want to go in? What's that little smokestack? There we go. There. Next. This is what goes with the set. Lionel. I smartly put it in the box upside down, I see. Because, it should read like that. Obviously, it's Lionel. Chassis system. Chassis lighted caboose 6-9167. Is this still mid-70s? Because they didn't usually use the 6- system until later on, I thought. Anywho, be careful. This box is in pretty damn good shape, so I'm not gonna Not gonna let it rip. Come on. Oh, hold on. About the other side. There we go. I guess usually there's one side that's been opened a lot and one side that never gets. Oh. The problem is the end of the flap that closes and gets. There's a split here and it goes behind the flap that goes sideways, and then you can't get it back out. There we go. Yeah, it's ripped a bit here. Yeah, what can you do? People obsess over Lionel boxes way too much. I remember back when I was into getting a bunch of Lionel train stuff together, buying it on eBay. A lot of the ways that I would get stuff cheaper is I wouldn't go for the stuff that had the boxes because, like I said, I'm not a big collector. I like to just have trains to run them and stuff. Oh, this one's even in plastic. So, put this like this so when I put it back in, it's actually the right way around. But, I didn't care if something didn't have the box, basically. I knew I was going to be paying more if it did have the box. And I remember there was a big thing where people just sold boxes for different stuff. You know, like maybe the train itself wasn't in good shape anymore, but the box was still in good shape, so people would just buy the boxes, and then you could buy the boxes on eBay and then make something worth twice as much because, oh, it's in a box. It always seemed a little silly to me, but it's me. Okay, chassis system caboose. This is what would go with the set, 9167. I am noticing there's a little square hole here for little red marker lights. Plastic marker lights that would just stick in. I think for some reason the light doesn't work too good on this one. I don't remember. But anyway, I think maybe in this plastic. No. Oh, there's more plastic. Or something else. No, that's it. No. Somewhere, I'm sure I have it. Somewhere I have those little red markers. Bits that can pop in there. I remember, I think it already didn't have it. And I didn't want to put them in because I didn't want them to break off, basically. And I knew I'd be sticking them back in the box eventually. Be in the other end. I'm not going to worry about it too much, but I do believe somewhere I have the little red markers that can pop in there. I mean, this, I don't see any rust. Paint looks good. It's a little dirty, but not that big a deal. I do believe the light worked in it. Don't remember if I had to like solder a wire or something. Now, the thing with these, it is a metal, sheet metal base, but the trucks are plastic. So this one and the other caboose that I just showed off, the problem with that, the trucks being plastic, is in order to power the light, you need 2 wires instead of 1. Like on the older stuff, or the higher quality cabooses, where the trucks were metal, of course the wheels are always metal, then you only need 1 wire from the light bulb because the other part of the power is just grounded straight to the metal frame. So the metal clip that goes onto the metal frame makes the connection, and you only need 1 wire that goes to this metal contact wheel. But with the plastic trucks, now you need 2 wires because one of the wire goes to the plastic. One of the wires goes to the contact wheel. This contact wheel has a nice tight spring, by the way. And the other wire goes to this little metal kind of strip of metal here that rubs against the 2 metal axles of the wheels. And that's how you get the power for the light. If I remember correctly, the light still flickers a lot. Also, oh, actually, no, that contact wheel is not worn out at all. It's really nice. This is in really good shape. This is definitely an excellent, again. I was really happy when I got these cars and basically put this set together because everything was relatively cheap, and when I got it, it was in a lot better shape than I was expecting. I mean, I think the listing said it was in pretty damn good shape, but I didn't really believe it because it was so cheap. But it's because nobody cares about this stuff because it's from the 70s. It's, you know, kind of lower quality. Like I said, with the 2 wires that I just explained, that's a lower quality thing, but it's still really nice. You gotta love the chassis. So I will look this up in a second after I get it back in the box. So it goes in this way. We're gonna put it back in the right one. Tight squeeze. Wheels are spinning around like a top. There we go. Really good shape. What's the number again? 9167. Very interested that it says 6-9167. I guess they started doing that in the 70s. It's a modern era thing. 67. Modern era was when they started coming up with wackier numbers too. Chassis system N5C caboose. Oh yeah, it was an M5C. I didn't even mention that. It's a round port window caboose like the in real life. The only place those cabooses ever existed was Pennsylvania Railroad. But Lionel loved that style of caboose and painted them up as everything, basically. So chassis and an N5C caboose, 74 to 76, $25 in excellent, 33 in like new. It's not worth much. I probably paid maybe 20. I bet. I think that I bought with maybe a couple of cars together. I was gonna look up sets again, but I don't want to waste time with sets. Anywho, next. Oh, this is not. I can tell by the box. This is not modern era. This is post-war. Look at that. A post-war box. You can see it's scuffed up pretty good. But it's still a box, and it's still got the flaps on the sides and stuff. This, according to the box, it's probably right, is a 62-125. I think it's probably a gondola. Yeah, gondola car. Cool. This is what Lionel boxes used to always look like, the post-war stuff. It's very iconic, the boxes. Everyone's obsessed with the boxes. Sometimes the boxes are worth more than what's inside the boxes. That's in this box. And there she is. What is that little bit of metal? It's like a skinny little metal pin. I wish I didn't keep all these random little parts and bits inside the freight cars because I want to find them someday. So there you go, 6462 NYC. This was, I think I had another gondola like this I showed off last night. Nicely built, got some decent weight to it. You know, plastic, of course, but the bodies are always plastic post World War II, really. But very common. Probably just about every train set had one. So even though It's pretty nicely built, and it's got the operating couplers that work good. It's probably not worth that much. I would say this, clean it up a little bit. I would say this is probably excellent. Nothing's rubbed off, nothing's broken. Yeah, it's pretty good. There's a tiny bit of rub on the paint underneath a little bit, but overall, it's pretty good shape. It's got a sheet metal frame underneath the plastic, which is nice. Adds to the weight. So I'll put this little thing back in there. 64, 62. I'm gonna say, it's a little dirty right now, but I'm gonna say this thing's an excellent. I don't see any rubbing on the edges. Pretty darn good shape. But I bet it's not worth much of anything anyway. It was super common. 64, 64 is a special set of box cars, and they were all worth a lot. Because they were really pretty, like fancy artistic stuff. Yep, 64, 62, New York Central Gondola, 1949 to 57. So it ran for a long time. I'm sure there's different itty bitty variations that you can find to try to pinpoint the year better. But anyway, it's black, green, or red. Black is worth the most out of the three colors I just mentioned, and good condition $9. Excellent condition, which I think this one is, it's worth all of $12 because it's very common. What are you gonna do? I still like the fact that it's really nice. It looks really good. It's nice and heavy. Ran it all the time, and it's got this cool box that goes with it too. Of course, these prices that I'm quoting, I'm going to repeat myself, but 2002 book that I'm quoting them out of, so it's probably worth twice that much, but that's because, inflation. Something politics I'm not going to get into. Okay, next. That looks like the one box that wasn't modern. This box. I guess I'll take this out next. Hey, we have track. Instead of all cars, there's a track thing. There's a switch. A remote control switch, left hand. That is an 022 switch. They made these from, I want to say, early 50s, post-war. And this, you can tell the box is much newer. This is much more modern. 6-14062. It's very modern. I would say 90s. Oh, I bought this from a train store, I think. Or maybe it was still. Mohawk Valley Railroad. It has a sticker on the end. $49.99, which is about right. These are worth probably at least $50 a piece. Because they have a motor that switches the switchback, and they're non-derailment. So, like, see right here in the picture, it's switched straight here. If the train comes in from this side, it senses it and flips it this way, so that it won't derail. Very good switches. Very good switches compared to the 027 style switches. I don't know if I'll show you any of the 027 style switches. I doubt they're going to be in this. We're not going to see those, but the 027 style switches are brown instead of black, and they work, but they're definitely much cheaper. Just want to make sure that this is switching. Could be. Yeah. Wow, I packed it in real good, just like it was brand new. It's not in amazing condition. It definitely works. I used it all the time. Probably one of the ones that was on the main line, but you can see it's kind of dirty and stuff. It's probably very good condition, I would say. It's got the paperwork for it and everything. Cool. I'm not going to take it all out and stuff. I just wanted to make sure it was in there. It felt like it was in there, and it was. And it's got a little... that much. It's got a little green and red lantern that turns with the switch and a light bulb in there. Lights up. And just look for look for my videos on YouTube. My train's running. I'll show them off. I got a bunch of these switches. I would get them a little at a time. I'd get one switch here or maybe a pair here and there. Some of mine are older ones that aren't in quite as good a shape, and I had to fiddle with them to make them work right and whatnot. Some of them don't quite turn over all the way when you turn the switch. So I had it set up in a way so that as long as it turned most of the way, if the train came the right way for it, then it would just, the weight of the train would just push the switch over the rest of the way. And these are very good switches. Highly recommend. That I'm just gonna put right there. Okay. Oh, I do have 2 more post-war. I have some random stuff in there. That's a pack. Oh, here's one of my many streetlights. Got some of those in here. Oh, hey. Here's one of the logs for that flat car that I showed off last night. But I don't have one for it, though. Okay. Just looking at whatever's loose in the box, too. Oh, here's some heat shrink. That's heat shrink. You put it over a wire and you melt it with a lighter, or it should be a heat gun. And it, shrinks over the wire and makes a nice watertight seal. This is mostly way too big, but I'd like to put it with my other heat shrink. Cool. Knew it had some, but it's very big though. Okay, we have more boxes. Fancy stuff, huh? It's fancy, but it's not worth anything. Lionel 027 freight carrier. This is a boxcar chassis system. These are like generic boxes, I guess they used. Pictures of all sorts of different stuff. Made in Mexico. There you go, modern era. 6-7910. Be very careful with these boxes. You just get something like this, wedge behind the flap, and you make sure you get that corner out without ripping it. There you go. And if one end looks like it's too hard, try the other end. Basically, if it's not ripped yet, you don't want to be the one that, oh wow, there's even like a little insert. I mean, look how good quality this stuff is. But oh, it was made in the 70s. It's cheap. Oh, it's not worth anything. Well, guess what? That makes it perfect for stuff that you can find. It's in good condition, buy it cheap, and you can run it around the line, and it looks great. I mean, yeah, I do like the older stuff better. Nostalgia and all that, but this stuff is fine. This stuff probably breaks easier. It's more plastic and stuff. It's in good condition. It's in good condition. Yeah. This one's, everything's kind of dirty. I didn't really have a chance to try to clean it before I put it. My thought with stuff like this even goes to like clothes and laundry and stuff. Why would you clean it before you put it away? Although with it in the box, it's a different story. But you put it away, and then when you take it out, what are you going to do? You're going to clean it. Why clean it when you put it away if you're going to clean it again? With stuff like this, I guess you could clean it when you put it away, and you would think with the box and the plastic and everything would stay clean. But especially like clothes. People put clothes away in laundry bags or boxes or something. Like put the winter clothes away during the summer and vice versa, and they wash it all so that it's clean when they put it away. Oh, you can't put it away dirty. And then what do they do when they take it out of the box? I just got it out of the box, I gotta wash it. One way or the other, either put it away dirty or don't wash it when you take it out of the box. What's the point? I don't know. I guess I'm a simple man. 7910. Yep, and the box says 7910. So it's a boxcar. It's nice. It's simple. The doors open and close. Oh, yeah, sure, it's plastic, but it's got a metal. Yeah, it's got a sheet metal frame on the underframe here. That's more than you can see with the really modern ones, the newer ones I showed off last night. Even the bottoms were plastic. It was a thicker plastic, and it had some weight to it still, but it wasn't this sheet metal. So, plastic trucks, operating couplers. They've got the little tabs so that you can operate the couplers very easily. And I don't see any rust. I don't see any paint rubs. Use a little cleaning, but that's no big deal. I'm going to say this is excellent. Again. Yeah, this 70s stuff that I got. I got it pretty cheap, and it's in really good shape. I just don't understand why it's so cheap, but it's good for you, though. It's good for the buyer, though. You can buy it real cheap and play it, run it on the line, let your kids play with it, whatever. Not worry about it so much because it was cheap, that kind of thing. Well, there's still going to be a limited supply. It's still from the 70s at the end of the day. 7910. Chassis system boxcar. Oh, 1984 and 85. That is not part of the set. Okay. Well, I don't remember what is and it isn't part of a set, or what the set was. But I'm pretty sure I was trying to put together a set. Maybe I didn't actually get the set together. But it's Jesse. Dark blue. 1984-85. 027, yep. $19 in excellent and 24 in like new. That's just kind of sad that it's, or it says 2002 numbers, but still. That just seems a little silly to me. Really nice. I used to run this stuff all the time. Well, I had this stuff all together in a set, parts on the side, I suppose. I didn't have it mix and match with the other cars, really, because it belonged in a set, really. This one does not. It's not 74, 75. Okay. Bag is bunching up. For box condition, the plastic window, the glue on it isn't too good, so part of it's kind of flapping in the breeze, but that's probably pretty common with these. It's the box. It should be. It's the box who cares, but not in the Lionel world. Oh, these boxes really people don't care about as much as the post-war, classic post-war boxes. Two more cars in the set, I believe. Oh, we got Conrail. Oh, this might not be mid-70s either, because Conrail was just a baby in the mid-70s. Although Conrail was a thing. Chassis boxcar 6-974. Wait a minute. It's the one I just... 6-7910 is the one I just showed off. This one says chassis boxcar 6-974, but it's not. It's Conrail. Oh, the other end says 6-9785 Conrail boxcar. I see. Yep, that's a sticker on top of a sticker again. Hilarious. There you go. Lionel. Conrail. That looks kind of ripped. That looks like it's about to give out. I'm going to try this end. Both ends of this. The box looks good at first sight, but both ends, the flaps, the tabs of the flaps are about to rip off. I think I can manage to get this one open. Yeah. I'll show you what I mean by rips. The way these boxes are designed is you have this flap that goes in, right? And then you have right here on either side, you have a little notch. But the problem is that when it goes in, this flap bends in too far, and that notch gets caught behind these flaps. And then in order to open it, you're just going to rip it right along this crease. It's very simple to rip that off. If you rip that off, the box isn't in good condition anymore, and the flap of the box is ripped, and it's like, who cares? But if you want to be a hardcore collector, that's very important. I'm not a hardcore collector, but when I have something that's already in really good condition like that, then I try to preserve it. I try to preserve it, I say, as I just kind of popped open the seam a little bit. It's out of here, but you know, you do the best you can. Conrail boxcar. This one feels a little bit lighter than the other one. It's still got the same sheet metal frame, the same plastic trucks and plastic operating couplers, but for some reason this feels a little bit lighter. Can't really put my finger on it. It says built 177 Lionel on the side, but that doesn't really mean a lot. It needs to be cleaned a little bit. I see a little bit of like schmoo here. Yeah, that cleans right off. Okay, that is, but it cleans right off. No rust on the metal. No like paint rubs or anything. I'd say excellent. Looks pretty excellent to me. You know, somebody that's more of a critic than me might not think it's excellent, but I think it's excellent. Looks pretty darn good anyway. On rail. 97.85. Stick it back in the box and I'll get the... it's probably going to be like the other one, worth maybe 20 bucks. I'm guessing. This, I think, is going to be part of that 70s set thing. Oh. So what I worry about this is you can have what's called box rub, where the stuff rubs on the boxes, and then you can have, like, you can actually rub off paint and stuff. You can be really careful. And go like that. It goes like that. Okay, so 97.85. 6- for some reason, but the book doesn't care about the 6-. I guess they did that because later on they wanted to be able to reuse numbers, maybe. I'm interested to see if this is mid-70s like you. Thought I was putting a set together. Yeah, I was wrong. 97.85 I said. Conrail boxcar. 77 to 78. It's not the same as 75 to 76 though. So no, I guess I don't really have a set. I thought I was putting a set together, but I don't remember. This was a while ago. Anywho, excellent condition, 19. New condition, 24. Yeah, about worth maybe $20. That's sad, but whatever. I know I didn't pay a whole lot for this. Oh, and here's Chassis System boxcar, but yellow. Yellow with blue print instead of blue with yellow print. The blue with yellow print one was apparently 1980 something. Which that got me. I thought all of this stuff was mid-70s. Oh, no. Hold on. And be careful. Dead fly or something. Box is in pretty good. Well, the box has a lot of rub on the corners, the edges, so it's not in that great a shape. It's not ripped yet, though. I say yet because I gotta open it. Okay, this one's pop open pretty good. It's just when the corner of that tab gets underneath that flap. Sometimes there's no way to not rip it. There. They tried to be more eye-catching with the Lionel stuff. In the 70s and the 80s and stuff. You know, all the different graphics and the pictures of different stuff and cars and whatnot. MPC. Mount Clemens, Michigan. This is definitely 70s then. It doesn't say made in Mexico. That was the 80s one, I guess. And General Mills, yes, during this period of time, I suppose, I think General Mills owned Lionel that period. I think. Could be wrong. Remember exactly. Look up in that book. Crap. There you go. That's working a little bit rough. Why, but that track works a little rough for the door. Which tells me it might be slightly thin. Well, they both are the same way, though. Anywho. This one says built 174. This one would be part of the set, then, I would think. Chassis system, yellow with the blue lettering instead of blue with yellow lettering. It's a little dirty, but I don't think the paint's scuffed off anywhere. Oh, there's a little scuff there. This one I would call very good. It's not quite excellent. Maybe a couple of tiny dots of rust on the sheet metal frame down here too. So it's going to be worth a little less than what excellent says. 97.40. This should be 74. 97.40. Chassis system box. Yeah, 74.75. This would be part of the set. Excellent condition 14. New condition 19. It's only $5 between excellent and new condition. And this is not excellent condition even, so it's probably worth about 10. That's hilarious. I like it though. This is something I would run all the time, you know? Oh, that flap is ripped something fierce, and I'm pretty sure I didn't just do that. I'm very careful. So the box is in shape too. Why? Didn't notice that part, this flap is ripped pretty bad here, so it's not ripped off yet, but it's close. Okay, one more modern car, and then I see a couple of more old boxes too. Oh no, no more modern cars. Two more old boxes. Ooh. 3460. New York Central box. Oh, this is maybe one of the operating ones. 3464 box car. This is the old style Lionel boxes. We're going back to post-war era. It's heavy already. Toy Makers USA American Toys stamp. Very cool. One end of the box, the flap's completely gone, so you know, the box is much. And this is actually in plastic. This must be how it came. This is one of the operating boxcars. I showed off one of them last night. It's a total of 4, I think. They're very heavy, so you'd never put them all in one train because it would be too heavy. Um, I would split them up between the different trains and always have them in the front of the train because they're so heavy. Heavy, it's metal. Well, the base is metal. This is still plastic, you know. But here's the doors that open and close. This is the operating side, I think. X3464. Yep, I've got like 4 of these. And there's your pin down there that you would pull open with the magnet in the track, and ta-da! Oh, he pops out pretty good still. Just close it with the door, then pop. Play with that forever. That was a real fun thing for kids. I like the operating boxcars. Very heavy. Plastic looks like it's in pretty good shape. I think one of the 4 of these, there's a crack in plastic on one of the corners, I want to say. I can't remember though. But this one looks, it's pretty dirty. It's one of those cases where I wouldn't want to try to take some kind of cleaner and try to scrub it and clean off the dirt, because you might very well clean off the white lettering with it. So I'd call it maybe very good. Nothing's broken. The guy pops out. There's no rust. I'd say very good. I'm not going to look this one up because I looked it up last time. Spending a lot more time on this than I thought I would, although I only have 2 boxes to go through tonight. There's more boxes in the shed, but I didn't get them today. I was too busy. So I guess a little bit of story time. Last night, after the stream and stuff, what did I don't know, I played Minecraft or whatever, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is I couldn't go to bed, really, because I had all these boxes, train boxes, up on my bed, and I couldn't really come up with a better place to put them at the time. But anyway, what I did eventually at like 5 in the morning, I was sitting here in my chair and I was like passing out. I was like, I gotta sleep. I gotta figure this out. So I think what I did is I just managed to fit like 2 or 3 of the boxes I fit on the chair that I'm sitting on. A couple more I fit on the floor and where I could still get to the bed. You know, I made it work. I was able to go to sleep at like 5 in the morning. Anyway, then I wake up at like, I fell asleep. I don't know. I laid down at 5 in the morning, and then you know, I was getting really tired and falling asleep in my chair at 5 in the morning. But then I had to freaking clear crap out. Move stuff around and whatnot so that I could lay on the bed. And that 6017. But anyway, by the time I went through all the trouble of moving the boxes around and got in bed, guess what? I wasn't about to fall sleepy yet. So then what did I do? I don't know. I watched some videos in bed or whatever, you know, stuff. I probably didn't fall asleep till like 6 or 7. Say, because you get that like second wind when you start doing something. So anyway, then I wake up at like 2:30 in the afternoon. I want to say. I think I got up earlier than what that's whatever. So I get up at 2:30 in the afternoon. Go to the bathroom, and Mom calls up to me when I'm getting out of the bathroom. She says, "Oh, Red Bear, John's car is stuck at Crystal Run Medical Center because I guess she had an appointment. He always drives her to her appointments, and apparently he left the headlights on in his car, his Honda, and I think it's a 2018 Honda Fit. The headlights don't turn off if the key's out of the ignition. I mean, it probably buzzed at him or something, but I know it's an economy model because it's a Honda Fit, but still. It's not as economy as he always thinks it is, though, because he always tries to tell people he doesn't have cruise control. It's right on the freaking steering wheel. There's a big button on the steering wheel that says cruise control on, off, resume, up, down. It's got the radio controls on the steering wheel that what it comes down to is he doesn't believe in cruise control. He doesn't trust it. He's afraid of it, which is hilarious because I guess cars way back when they had cruise controls, like, I don't know, 60s, 70s, the cruise control didn't kick off too easily, so you get stuck where the car wants to keep giving it gas. But they solved that a very long time ago. Anywho, so actually, I'm not done with my story yet. So I'm like, what? And then, I had a Zoom meeting call thing from therapist at like 4:30. So they were like, oh, there's no rush. We won't get the car until after your appointment, which was stupid because it was only 2:30. It doesn't take 2 hours to drive over to Christopher Run, jump the car, and bring it back. It's either going to work or it's not. Anywho, so after my appointment, so 5 o'clock, I guess, we go out there, and pouring rain. At 2:30, by the way, when I got up, it was raining very light, just a little bit of rain. And they're like, "Oh, it's gonna stop raining soon." No, it didn't stop raining soon. It started raining more, and the car was stuck over in town of Walk Hill, which for some reason it rains a lot more there than here. It's only like 15 minutes away, but it rains a lot more there than here. I don't know why. The weather's always worse. Anyway, we get there, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, the battery was so dead I couldn't roll up my window." I'm like, John, it's been raining. You mean to tell me this car has been sitting here from 2 o'clock until now it's 5:30, and the window's been open like 3-4 inches? Why didn't we come out here at 2:30 and get the car? Like, oh, we didn't know if we'd have time. I'm like, oh my god. I mean, it's your car, but still, I'm sure the seats were all wet. It is a cheaper class of car, so the everything's kind of like plastic and stuff, so whatever got wet is probably just going to dry out and be fine. I think one time he even left the window open in the snow. So, But anyway, man, I just wish we would have gotten, because you know what happened? We parked Mom's car next to his car, got the jumper cables out, hooked up the jumper cables, he turned the key, vroom, started right up, easy peasy. Took like maybe 5 minutes to hook up the cables and jump start the car. Although I will say, if we went there at 2:30, there probably would have been a lot more cars parked in the parking lot, and it might have been a little bit trickier. But I think with the way the batteries are laid out on the two cars, we could have parked on either side, and the cables are just long enough. Anywho, so yeah, jumped his car, got it back home, and it's just like, we really should have done this a lot sooner, but okay. Okay, we have a caboose. 6017 caboose. Now, the nice thing about this is it's got the box. It's a little crusty. It's got, spider egg thing on it. And, but the flaps aren't ripped off. So the box is in good enough condition, I would say. And it's a 6017 caboose with an operating coupler. The problem with a 6017 caboose is this is kind of like that gondola that I showed before. Extremely common. You find this on pretty much any kind of set. Lionel line 6017 caboose, no real road company. It's got a screw hole, but I don't think it ever had a screw in it. No, because it's got these metal tabs that clamp down on the plastic instead. That you would have to pry up, take it apart. I mean, there's no reason to ever take it apart, but still, that's an example of making something cheap. Instead of putting a screw in the side and having a metal tab to thread the screw into, they just have these other metal tabs out here that they bend over the plastic and call it done. It's how they made things cheaper. This is probably oh, and the trucks are plastic. Okay. Trucks are plastic. It does have an operating coupler, at least. So yeah, it's definitely El Cheapo for the time. I would say late 50s or 60s. At a guess. Sheet metal frame. Not rusty at all. I don't know if I'd quite call it excellent. It's a little bit of rubbing. I'd say very good condition. 6017. I'll look at it. I'm gonna say it's $5 to $10. I'm gonna say, at a guess, because they're very common. Although there are probably a couple different color options. This one's not red. It would be Tuscan, I believe. Come on, you gotta have 6017. It's super common. I know it. Okay. Lionel Lines SP type caboose. Yeah, this is an SP type caboose. They always call it. 6017. Yeah, see, there's different variations. There's 6017. Interesting. It doesn't tell me the difference. There's 6017 Lionel Lines SP type caboose, 1951 to 62. Then right under that, it says 6017 Lionel SP type caboose. Oh, Lionel instead of Lionel Lines. I see. 1956 only. Interesting. And then there's a 6017-50 USMC. So United States Military. That was only made in 58. That's worth a little bit more. And then there's a gray one that was only made in 58, which is 6017-85. I think that would be worth more than that. Yeah, there's a big long list of 6017s. Okay, I'm not going to go through. Anyway, none of them are worth all that much, except there's a Boston and Maine, 1959, 62, and then 65 to 66. Medium or light blue, $10. The Boston Maine one. But if you find a Boston and Maine in purplish blue, I don't even know how you would determine purplish blue. But purplish blue instead of $10 is worth $255. So they must be very rare. Anywho, this is just the classic 6017, made from 51 to 62. In good condition, this is the first time I've seen a decimal point in this. In good condition, it's worth $2.50. Excellent condition, 7. This one's worth probably about 5. That's hilarious. Because they're super common. But hey, it's in a box. Another thing you're not going to be afraid to run, though, at least. The plastic trucks, but it still has an operating coupler, so I'm not going to say it's at the 1961 end of the scale. I would say like late 50s, probably, when they were cheaping out, but at least it still had an operating coupler. Because when they went really cheap, it didn't even have operating couplers, so I think we saw a car like that last night. There was a car with just solid plastic couplers that you couldn't operate. Neat that it's in a box, though. Well, 6017-12, the box says. Didn't even get that classification in there, which doesn't really matter, I guess. Okay, let's see if I can Jenga get these boxes back in the way they were before. That. Okay. The locomotive was up on top, which is silly because it's heavy. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter actually, because everything else is in boxes. Random stuff in the box that's getting in. Use them on. Box. Oh. This fit in here somehow. Not sure how this box fit. Whatever. I'll just toss it on top. That one. No. Okay. Well, that's that box done. All I have left, one more box, but it's extremely heavy, so I think it's all locomotives. Oops, all locomotives. Gotta figure out what to do with this box, actually. It's really... Oh. Yeah, this has got to be all locomotives. It's so heavy. Just figured I'd show you the box. It's a little air mattress box. So it's a smaller box than some of the other boxes we've gone through, but it's very, very heavy. So it's got to be all engines. Typical Red Bear, smart enough to put all of the heavy stuff in one freaking box. A great idea. Probably wasn't thinking too much when I was packing all the stuff away, except kind of a rush. Let's have some track switches. Oh, hey, I can compare and contrast. You saw the one 022 nice big switch from before. This one. This one's a more modern one, but the older ones were pretty much the same. Now I'm going to show you what a somewhat more modern 027 switch looks like. Actually, I think I got to take out some other stuff. Oh, that's not heavy. Excuse me. Not many people around again tonight. But this is mostly the analog it for YouTube. Really. Go straight on YouTube. I know I have a lot of YouTube people that are interested in my trains. Okay. Well, if anybody remembers from last night's stream, I was talking about the very modern set that I had. This is the tender. And I'm guessing the locomotive's in here too. That was a 464 Hudson. That was part of the set. Because Red Bear was relatively young and didn't care about the new stuff at all. I think this is probably not in that greatest shape. Are numbers stamped on it or anything? Probably not, because it just goes... Thinking more modern stuff, they didn't bother stamping on the numbers on the tenders. Yeah, I see anything. It's trying to fall apart on me. Which tells, well, not fall apart, but come apart. Tells me that, yeah, there was a screw in the end, and there's no screw in the end right now. Probably did that on purpose so it wouldn't break. So there you go. It does have a whistling tender. You can see the motor. Now this is more modern. I didn't take apart the other whistling tender. But the other whistling tender would have all sorts of crazy relays and crap. This is more modern. This is like the whistle box, and then there's a fan. There's a fan in here. And the motor turns the fan and makes a whistle noise. I don't remember if this still works. I feel like it doesn't. I don't remember why, but I feel like it doesn't. Oh, well, here's the two wires, and they're just tied together and coiled up. Yeah. Now, the question is, are there more pieces that are missing? I don't think so. It's pretty simple looking. You know what is missing, though? I must have used it for something else. classic trucks, you know, modern stuff. It is a sheet metal frame at least. But at least one of these trucks, probably this one because there's a slot in the frame for it, it had a piece in the middle here, bolster in the middle of the plastic truck, that had your contactor wheel to contact the center rail for the power, to power the whistle. That's gone. So I must have stole it from here to use it for something. That's how much I cared about this stuff, which is too bad because it was a nice set. You know, it wasn't that cheap. It was cheaper, but still, it wasn't that cheap. This was, you know, early 2000s. It's probably like a $300 set, I want to say. Got it for my birthday. And I did run it for a while before things started breaking, but yeah, I must have stolen that bolster for something else. Oh, Red Bear. Red Bear. Easily fixable, I would think. So besides that, though, I will say the paint looks good on this thing. It's not all the decal for the Santa Fe super cheap thing. That's not scuffed up. I don't think any of the plastic's broken. Like the corners of the... Oh, I spoke too soon. It's missing one of the steps on the corners. Okay. That drops it down to maybe good condition. I don't know. Something's broken off. Is it even considered good anymore? Yeah, because this goes wrong with the locomotive that I talked about yesterday that used to run off the table on me. Because young Red Bear wasn't as good at controlling things, I guess. So yeah, one of the plastic steps broken off. So yeah, this is, especially alone, this is probably worth $5 to $10. I mean, the engine's probably still worth something. It could probably be fixed by somebody who knows what they're doing. I could kind of get it running, but it would always get to the point where the gears would just grind on me. This is the locomotive. It's not the one that goes with that, though. I don't know why I'm opening up another one by doing. Oh, hey. 11:30. Oh, yeah, that doesn't stay in. It just doesn't, because there's a metal piece that's missing. Hold on, let me get this put back away. I'll start taking out too many at a time and not packing them back up. Now this tender would be probably a it's in here. Oh, that's the newspaper. It's slightly rubbing on my leg and scaring the crap out of me. So anyway, 11:30. This is what goes wrong with the classic 1130T tender, but the 1130T tender was used for all sorts of cheap little locomotives. This is like a Scout locomotive. So bottom of the line, basically, 242. This one I got at the same time in the same pack, basically, with the 249, was it? With the red stripe. That was also supposed to be a 242. With the plastic boiler. This one's a plastic boiler, too. Like I said, cheap bottom line. Scout set. And, the running gear, the connecting rod, and this crosshead here, and the pilot and trailing wheels, all of this can be easily swapped between this locomotive and the 249. So if I run this one for a while and get tired of it, I can swap out the parts over to the 249 and run that one. I usually was too lazy to do that, but I could. Let's see, I think the screw holes might be a little bit better for this one. But still, you are screwing heavy metal part here into plastic because El Cheapo. And I do believe the E-unit for this thing... Where is it? Oh, it's in... The E-unit is in the back here, the lever for it. Which is probably why there was a metal bar here holding the drawbar in place so that this wouldn't just fall off. But that metal bar is broken off, probably because people would break it off trying to get to this lever for the E. Some people are not as bright as other people. I think it was a little metal. Maybe it was even plastic. I think it was metal though. I put that in the wrong thing. There we go. But as kind of cheap and chintzy as this thing is, it does pull a lot, of course, because it doesn't... Wait. This one pulls okay, because I think this one has magnet traction. Believe it or not, for being a cheap Scout style, I think it has magnet traction. Could have a section of rail somewhere. Let's see if it sticks to the rail. I thought maybe this one had magnet traction. I could be wrong. Oh, no. Nope, no magnet traction. Never mind. I thought maybe it did. I think I have one small, really cheap locomotive that for some reason does have magnet traction, but it's not this one. But anyway, for what it is, it runs. It works. I actually used it a lot because it does run. And the E-unit works really good. Like, it'll switch forward, neutral, reverse, neutral like it's supposed to. So it was good for, like, switching out the yard and stuff. It goes with that really lightweight 1130T tender, I think it was. But, I mean, it's cheap. It's not worth much of anything. Don't even know if I have the correct tender that goes with it, but I do have that one 1130 tender. I don't think it's quite right. No, that tender is more of a black, and this is more of a... I guess maybe this is black. It's more of a gunmetal, though. I don't think it's quite the right tender that goes with it, so... No, mix and match. Silliness. I'm not even gonna look it up. It's not worth much of anything. But it does work. Gets the job done sometimes. Fun to play around with. I think sometimes I'll use this, if I don't want to mess around with the 1666, I'll use this paired up with that one pre-war tender that I have to pull the pre-war stuff around, because that stuff's super lightweight, so something that's as underpowered as this is fine. Really look like a pre-war steam engine someday. I have to have a place to set up my trains first. Oh, this is heavy. This is a locomotive of some sort. Hey, this... Here's pre-war, but it'll never run again. This is the locomotive that goes with the gray tender and the passenger set that my grandpa had. This is the original thing that got me into Lionel trains. And it is a 1689E. I was pretty sure that's what it was. I did put it together a bit, at least, just to put it away, I guess. I do have the trailing truck somewhere. Yeah, this is really messed up now. I think these wheels aren't even in there too good. This thing will never run again, for sure. But I always display it somewhere on the table. It's pretty scuffed up, but this is the whole thing that got me into Lionel trains. It's got the neat front, the L for the Lionel. Very heavy, very metal. Everything's metal. This is old enough that they didn't really know what plastic was yet, I think. 1689E. Gunmetal color. And yeah, it's neat. I'd love to someday maybe find another one of these that is running. Pair it up with the set. That'd be cool. But you know, whatever. It's pretty nice still. Well, not really. It's pretty rough. But it's in such rough shape because it was part of my grandpa's old set with those passenger cars, and it was stored in that frickin' cellar down here. It was a very moist cellar. Sometimes it even floods if it rains a lot. I mean, it was up high, so it would never get directly wet from the flood, but just the humidity and dampness. It was not a good place to store trains. The shed was better. The shed was also not that great. I kind of wish I had a better place. I really wish I had a better place to store these for the past 12 years or however long they've been packed up, but it wasn't as bad as the cellar. did think about putting them in the cellar. The cellar is terrible. That is at least not the cellar. And it was up high on a table. Next. Oh, this is heavy. Diesel. Not steam. That's won a game, I guess, in what year this was. 2016. Wow, they won a game in 2016. Amazing. This paper is not too good. I might repaper this one. Oh, heavy. This is very heavy. This is old. Oh, this is the switcher. This I got for about $100. This I don't think was eBay. This might have been. It was local. My mom went to met the guy to buy it, I think. It's a Facebook Marketplace, or was it? Remember how I found that? But it was local. Chair just decided to start reclining. But this is a switcher. It's a little 060. It's supposed to be, no, 040. Wow. And that's what it's supposed to be. It is a 1656. These, it doesn't look like much, but these are actually, they're worth a pretty good amount of money. I think I paid about $100. There's an engine and tender, but it was missing the drawbar. I don't remember where I found a drawbar for it now. I pulled it off of something else. It's missing a drawbar, and also, I'll show you. I didn't really get fleeced because the locomotive on its own is easily worth $100. But the tender is supposed to be a whistling tender, and I think, depending on the year, slipback tender, it might have had a bell that rang all the time, and it had these little wires that plugged in from the tender to the engine. This is like a very unique thing, basically. Very heavy, very metal. This is the late 40s. After World War II, so this is before they started cheapening things out. Wheels are turning pretty good. I mean, you can see how more complicated the running gear is. You know, there's a lever here, there's a lever here, there's a lever here. You know, you got the connecting rod, main rod, you got the valve gear rod. Yes, I'm not too good with valve gear, but you know, something like that. It's more complicated than they usually are. It runs good. But something wrong with the unit on this. For some reason. Oh well, I didn't. You know, I've got this drawbar now. I don't remember where I got that drawbar from. Got that drawbar off of something else. Wonder if that works. I don't remember now. If I remember correctly, I had to just use the front coupler and run this thing in reverse all the time. But it did run. It has a few little issues, but it does run. It's nice. It's got a bell pair firebox, I'm noticing. But you're never going to be able to see it. Well, maybe kind of. There's three spots for plugs to plug in there. Because, I guess the tender used to get power from the engine instead of having its own pickup, which is really wacky, but that's what it did. And it has, oh, I know what one of the problems is. It has coil couplers, which is before they started doing the couplers, the more mechanical ones where you just pull the pin down and pop it open. These have little coils, which are little motors inside the couplers that pop open the coupler. And then, oh, the shoe for that must be, that's why there's a wire between the engine and the tender. There's a little pickup shoe that you activate with a special kind of activator rail that would pop the coupler. that's what the wire must have been. At least one of the wires between the two. Interesting. The problem with those coil couplers, though, is sometimes, I don't know if it's because the power surges a little bit or if it goes over a certain kind of switch, sometimes the coil will just pop open and you don't want it to. So it's a little usually they're okay. See if I can find the tender that goes with it. Yes, this tender. The tender, I'll show you what the problem is. Well, I don't know if I'll show it to you because I'd have to take it apart. But the tender definitely looks the part. It's very heavy. It's definitely the right kind of tender. And you can see, here's the wires that go from the tender to the engine. They actually plug in, which is very unique. And I wonder... Oh god, this is so heavy. And it does seem to hook up good. I don't remember having a drawbar for this, but I must have found something. That might even be the drawbar from the 1689E that I just showed you. I don't remember. But anyway, so the engine, there's not much of any issues with it. It runs pretty good. Like I said, this was still well worth $100. Oh, the tender has its own backup light, like a headlight, and it might have even been a thing. One of those wires going back and forth. It might have only lit up if it was in reverse. I don't remember. Probably not, but it's possible. But this was really nice and detailed and fancy. These, back in the late 40s when they were made, these were worth decent money. It's got a little paint chip off right here in the middle for some reason. This is all metal. Even the tender is all metal. Usually the tenders, at least the shell, is plastic. All metal. Yeah, it's all metal. Very heavy, whistling tender. Here's the power pickups. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but does anyone see a problem with this tender underneath here? Does anyone see the modern plastic toggle switch? Let's see if I can poke at it, point at it with something. Pencil. There is a literal, like, modern day toggle switch sticking out of the bottom of this thing. So, I'd have to get a screwdriver and take it apart. I'm not going to right now. But if you took this thing apart, to my horror when I first took it apart, instead of finding, the typical motor for the whistle and big relay box thing and stuff like that, there is a modern day circuit board with little bits and pieces sticking out of it and whatnot, and I don't think it needs a battery. No, it pulls power from the track, at least, and it has a little speaker. Like if you look under here, I don't know where the whistle motor actually, how it worked. Should be a hole somewhere where the whistle motor pulled in the air. I guess maybe in the middle. But anyway, oh yeah, there's another hole that the wire is supposed to go through, maybe. Anyway, when you pull this apart, there's a speaker, there's a circuit board, and then this stuff is all stuck in with this, like, sticky foam stuff. It's not 1948 anymore. I think this was only made in 1948. I'll look it up in a second. But yeah. So, and when you have that switch on, sometimes, randomly, it seems, not even whether or not you press the button on the transformers for it, sometimes randomly, the bell will go off. Oh, it might have not been a whistle. It might have only been a bell originally. I don't remember. Also, the song is getting loud. I'm gonna skip it. So when it goes off, though, it's not a bell. It's electronic. Like I said, speaker. It goes ding, ding, ding. It's an e-bell. Somebody went through great trouble and expense to take out whatever was in here, and instead of fixing it, putting in a speaker with an e-bell and a circuit board. So, someday on my list of things that I would love to get, if, I had money and space for it and stuff, would be the actual correct tender for this thing with the bell or whistle, whatever it's supposed to be. I think it was only a bell. I think it didn't have a whistle, actually. It was only a bell. Although the original thing, probably why they did it, is the original bell was really annoying. Because I don't think it was something you could activate with a button. I think the bell just went off all the damn time. Which, of course, would get really annoying. So I think that's probably what happened. Somebody didn't like that. Also, I'm noticing there's a guardrail, there's a railing here. Oh, with steps. Okay, that's right. There's not a missing railing on this side. Okay, never mind. But yeah, I was a little upset when I found out about that because I was so happy to get this thing for $100. And these are worth a lot more than $100. But then I took that apart and I was like, wait a minute. Well, I flipped it over after a while. I didn't realize it right away. I flipped it over after a while and I was like, wait a minute. Why? Why is there a toggle switch? Plastic modern toggle switch under here. And, this is the one shoe here for picking up that special activator rail for the coils. But I think the coil coupler back here is the one that can just randomly open up. So I'm probably gonna get, if I ever put things together and whatnot, I'm probably gonna get like a piece of wire or something to coil around in here to jam up this coupler so that it's always fixed. Hate to do that, but there's no real way to fix these coil couplers. And this tender's probably not worth much of anything anyway because of the modification that was made. So anyway, 1656 switcher. I think it's 1948 only. I'm still not mad about buying it though. It's still a nice locomotive. It does run good. It's good for switching if you run it backwards. And it's heavy, it's metal, it's old, It's still worth $100, I think. I'll tell you why. Because 1656 Steam 040. The tender has a specific number, which is how you know it's special. The tender is a 6403B. I think B for Bell. Tender. Oh, it was made for 1948 and 49. Oh, actually, I thought it was worth more than that. Good, $145. Excellent, $310. I mean, it's better. Well, if it had the right tender that wasn't modified, it would be worth $165. It would be good condition. It's probably a little better than good condition. It's a little scuffed up. The paint's a little scuffed up, but it's not terrible. So it's probably very good, I would say. So it would be worth probably $170, $180 because in excellent condition it's worth $365 with the correct tender, excellent condition. All that. It's definitely worth the most out of these little switchers that I see right here. 1656, right? Yeah, I remember that number. But yeah, I was still very happy with it. I'm still happy that I have it. I paid $100 for it. It's still worth $100. And it's probably worth more. But yeah, this was neat, really neat. And I think with that, I don't remember now with that drawbar that I found, I think I could run it in forward, unless this coupler opens up all the time. I think it might. You know, it might not even be the coil coupler that's messed up. It might be because it's wired into the wacky ass circuit board crap that's in there. Don't remember. But yeah. This paper still fine. Bed spider. Boy, Hillary versus Donald. Yeah, we might do that again next year. Pinch hitter Matt Reynolds. I don't remember him. Major test for Harvey. Oh God, Matt Harvey. Let's not talk about Matt Harvey. Election 2016. Good news is, I will say this stuff all looks like it's in the same exact condition it was in when I put it away. So, definitely that roof didn't leak. I was worried last night a couple of times when I saw a little bit more damage maybe than I thought, but the roof didn't leak. It got moist, I'm sure. It got very hot, humid in the summer, you know, climate control. So it's a big change. But it didn't get worried that the roof was going to start, but it didn't. I'm glad I got it. Yeah, digging around under the bed. Digging around under the bed, going through what's under there, making space for the trains. There's a, I think it's a Kodak all-in-one printer scanner thing, and the scanner still works on it, which is why I still have it in a bag underneath my bed. I didn't throw it out. But the printer part is sat for a long time, uncovered. This house is very dusty, and the cats with cat hair. The printer part just doesn't work. But again, I think even it doesn't even trying to feed in the paper, if you put in too much paper, you can put it on a sheet of paper and it still splits it up the jam. The printer is not good. But the scanner part, you know, it's got an open bay scanner on the top of it. The scanner works just fine. So, even though it's this big, heavy, blocky printer thing, I don't really want to throw it out because the scanner still works, you know? I have a backup scanner. And if I can find a way, somehow, squeeze it in my room up here, I could have my own scanner, but I'll never do that. So that's going to go into that back room on the other side of the house. This paper, steam rips in it. Okay, we have a steam engine at 70. Oh, this is 6110. This is my only Scout steam engine with a Scout motor, which is not good, really. They were cheaper made. I think I talked about it a bit last night. They were cheaper made motors that were almost impossible to work on, and it has a Scout reverse. But I will say, for Scout, it is very, very heavy. This is good metal boiler. It's not plastic like the other one I showed off. And this is the one that has freaking magnet traction for some reason. I think it was only made in 1950. I'll look it up in a second. It's a 6110. It either didn't come with a tender or it came with that lightweight 1110 tender when I bought it, which is probably not the right one for it. But it has a Scout motor, which is a big deal. Okay, here. Oh, it's got shmoo in the gears because it's magnet traction. The wheels are working. I think it still works. I'm pretty sure it still works. You can see the bottom of the motor. There's no plate, and it's plastic right here. So the case of the motor is plastic, and then you see the gears here. But the brushes for the motor are inside there, and there's no screw going through the top that holds it in either. I think there's like a wacky pin through the side that holds the motor in place, along with something down here. It's hard to explain, but it's almost impossible to work on. Yeah, the brush motors are in here. It's cased in plastic. It's very hard, if not impossible, to work on the motor. So while it works fine, and it's got magnet traction, so it actually perks. It actually pulls pretty good. But when something goes wrong with these Scout motors, you can't fix them, really. They were built that way. They were built cheaply. Because it's a Scout set, basically. It's a bit scuffed up. The paint's not too great. I'd call it a good condition. Also, wacky thing about this one, I think I took the smoke unit out, but I do believe it had a smoke unit. It could smoke. It was probably another smoke unit that was toast, because you have to always put smoke fluid in it to keep it lubricated, and people would let it dry out, and then the wires would break. I think I took it out. But the funniest thing about this is it's heavyweight, pulls pretty good with magnet traction, even though it's a Scout motor. Had a smoke unit, but it didn't have a headlight, ever. There was no headlight to this locomotive. I think it's even noted specifically, no headlight. Which is just weird, because almost everything else that Lionel ever made has some kind of headlight. It might even be just a bare bulb on top of the locomotive, but there's a headlight. So this was wacky. I think it was only made in 1950, probably right before the Korean War kicked in. And this lever here, you guys can see it, this lever that you can go down or up with, that's the E unit. Instead of the normal metal lever that you move, that's the E unit. And the way it's supposed to work is when it's pushed down, whenever the power cycles, it'll go between neutral forward, and then when you pull it up, you lock it. In reality, up will lock it, but if it's down, it'll go forward, it'll go neutral, it'll go reverse, it'll go neutral, and it'll go stuck in neutral without touching the power. Like, I don't think I ever caught it on video, but if that lever's down, it'll be running, going pretty fast, go over switch, and then instantly switch from forward to reverse and start shoving back. And if you didn't cut the power away, it would just derail the whole train behind it, because it's just going to speed backwards just as fast as it's going forward. If it's locked up like that and you get it to lock and forward, it runs pretty good, or it runs fine. But it's kind of a fun locomotive to run. It's a pretty good puller, and I think it's pretty fast too. It's a little scary to run because it's kind of fast. It's 242. But for stuff that's a Scout engine, it's pretty damn good, especially since it's a Scout motor, because it's got the magnet traction. That's a big deal. I think if it only had a headlight, then it would be really, really good. I think it does need a smoke unit. I think. Pretty sure. Let's see, post-war. This is a 6110. I think it was only made in 1 year. I don't remember what I bought it with or whatever. I got it pretty cheap though. 6110. Oh yeah, it definitely didn't have the tender it was supposed to have with it. Steam 242. Wait a minute, is this 6110? Yeah. Steam 242 6001T tender. Definitely don't have that tender. Never did. 1950 and 51. I'm surprised it doesn't say right here, no headlight. But in good condition, it's worth $18. In excellent, 40. It's not worth anything because it's got that Scout motor. And everybody knows those Scout motors can't be fixed, pretty much. I do have another book that more closely details stuff about it, and I know it doesn't have a headlight, and it's not supposed to. Although nothing's stopping you from getting a wire from one of the pickups and mounting some kind of headlight in there. I mean, there's a hole in the middle of the smoke box where you could have. I guess maybe there wasn't room for the light because it had the smoker. It has this weird hole above the hole for the headlight too. Oh, you can't see. It has like, you still can't see, but there's like a weird hole in the front of the smoke box right above where the headlight goes. I never understood that. I don't know. It's a weird scout thing, basically. But it does run. And I do play with it. I did play with it sometimes just because it was fun to run something a little different. And it pulled really good. So I could actually pull some heavy stuff with it. Yeah, I can see now why this box was so heavy. Because there's a lot of locomotives in here and they're really heavy. Okay. Alright, now I can get to, there's one more, but here's some switches. Now, remember those? Looking at the box over there. Remember those nice 022 switches I showed you? This is 027 style switches. Well, this one's kind of broken. Actually, where is the top of this one? This one's just a manual switch. It was always a manual switch. The motor would go over here. Keep seeing. This one's a manual 027 switch. Flip it back and forth. Brown plastic. It does have a metal base. Oh, this was loose. Okay. Don't know where the top of this is. Actually. Well, you can see how the mechanism works. So. But this is the very common, normal brown 027 style switches. Kinda crappy, but they get the job done. And they work good in a yard where you're going slow anyway. As long as you clean them up good enough, maybe make a point to supply power to both ends of it, then it's fine. Don't know why the top part. There's usually a top part above this with a red and green flag that flips back and forth with the switch. I don't know why that's missing. I don't know why it's not screwed down either. Because this is just a manual switch too. I don't remember why this is as wacky as it is right now. Sure, there was a reason. One of these I have is kind of cut up and wacky because I tried to turn it into a powered switch of my own because I was young and inquisitive and stuff. And I was trying to add like a motor and a way to flip it back and forth. It kind of sort of not really worked. But it still worked as a manual switch at the end of it. Now this is one with a motor. You can see this long part sticking out, that's where the motor goes. This long part sticking out here is where the motor goes. You can still switch it manually. These are pretty dirty. These were in the yard, I think. Bay playing Wolf Quest, okay. But, I think I was using this in the yard or something. And they do work. This one's pretty dirty and rusty. Pretty cruddy. Lionel, number... You can see that. Hold on. I'm blind. Number 5122, 027 remote control switch. But these are the kinds of... These brown switches are the kinds of switches that you saw those brown little remotes in last night's stream that were right on the top of that box. This is what they would control. The nice thing about these switches is even though they're 027 and, you know, kind of cheap and chintzy, they are non-derailment. So if it's switched straight like it is right now, and the train comes from this end, you need to put a plastic pin here so that it's not always making a connection, by the way. Insulated pin. But if a train comes in and makes that connection, it'll flip the switch and keep it from derailing. As long as it's working right. And you can see That's the red and green target that was missing off of the other one. I don't know why it's missing off that manual switch. I don't remember what happened with that. And this is another manual one that has the red and green target. That's where the motor would go. It's just the same thing as a motorized one, but there's no motor. Cheap. But it works. Gets the job done. My whole train table used to be all 027, and then I eventually upgraded to O gauge, which is slightly different than 027. Hard to explain, but the track is just better. The curves are a little bit bigger. The curves are... Oh, there's the target. Oh, it popped off. I see. Where's the screw? Problem is the screw's not in. Here it comes. Oh, the screw. Problem is the screws. So we're just kind of sitting on their end. But there's the red and green target that would flip with the manual switch. Let's see if we can fix this real quick. And this is the top piece. There's the kind of half hole here that the screw is supposed to go in. So the screw is missing. I don't know why the screw is missing. That is the main problem. And it was kind of just stored on its end here. The manual switch, so I didn't really care about it. But I might have used it in the yard somewhere. So I do believe. Just try to light down straight for a second. I do believe if I just drop this in here. There you go. Yeah. Then you put this on top. Actually, you might have to pack this inside. The fact that nothing's screwed together and it's all just wonky silliness is annoying. Also, there's a hole here in this bit that slides back and forth. That would connect to the motor if there was a motor. Oh, is the screw hole stripped out? Is that the problem? It's a little rough. Yeah, you can see this goes in here. I think. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That needs to go in here. That needs to go in there first. Then, I think, put the whole thing together. Okay, hold on. Order of operations. Put this in here. You hold the whole thing upside down. Then you put that together. So. I'm not showing this well because I'm too busy trying to do it. But... should be enough wiggle room. I can't put this in after the fact, right? This has to go in from the top, doesn't it? What does you can twist it? I can't put it in from inside. Yeah. Get in the tab. There's a tab that it has to slide into. There we go. I think. No. This should not be as difficult. It's a trick. I need to figure out the trick without breaking it. It's plastic. The trick is there's an order. There's a correct order to do it in. And I have to figure that out. I hold the whole thing upside down. That's what I have to do, I think. Snap in there. You can't see what I'm doing, I know, but it's kind of just to try to do it right now. If that makes any sense. Have to do things in the right order, basically. I didn't know. Okay, I'm not going to explain how I did it because I'm not quite sure how I did it, to be perfectly honest. But it's back together now. Okay, now should be able to put this whole thing. Let's see, we're green right now. Wants to be red, so let's put this to red. Okay, back together. It's working. As a manual switch, of course. I don't understand why there's no screw. I don't know why in the Red Bear land there's no screw, and why is that not want to lock in better. It doesn't matter. It's just gonna fall apart again because there's no screw holding it together. Tap. There. Red, green, red, green. Okay, we're together. Fixed it, but there's no screw, so it's not going to say fixed. Well, why there's no screw? Not in the box. I don't know. I'm going to put this somewhere else, though, because it doesn't really fit in this box too good without it. Alright, so I'd like to set it flat somewhere. Alright, last thing, and then we're done. The last thing in the box. Locomotive. Yep, locomotive. Get Hillary. Washington Post. That's why Hillary looked like that. Oh, okay. This is the other part of the modern locomotive. That's the 484. No, 464. Sorry. This paper is actually good. I didn't think it would be. This is the locomotive, the Santa Fe Super Cheap 464 Hudson from, I want to say, late 90s, early 2000s. That liked to fly off the table. Let's see, hear the grinding? That's because the gears don't mesh up right anymore. I don't think there's really any fixing it, fortunately. But yeah, oh, it says Joe's Fix It, so that's probably where they bought it. But yeah, it was a really nice locomotive. I used it a lot. This was my one thing that I knew would run, or at least I at the time, because it was new, you know. So I would pull the old stuff around with this. But my train table back then was in my basement at my other house, the old house that I don't live at anymore. Try not to dox myself quite as much, but I ran this thing a lot. And then the train table was a really big table. Oh, sorry, Bern, I didn't even see you. Night. Get to sleep. What time's it? 11. But the train table was a really big table. I had this big, long dining room table that used to be in the dining room. But my mom and her boyfriend at the time, they didn't like it because it was too big. It got too much of the room. So they were going to get rid of it. When they bought a new table, the new table was probably less than half the size of the old table. It's this, wood table, but with a ceramic tile top of the table, because that was apparently a good idea. It's still our kitchen table, by the way, here at this house. But at the time, that was the dining room table, and the old dining room, the big, long table, especially if you put the leaves in. The leaves weren't in when it was there, but it was still big without the leaves. And they were going to get rid of it. And I said, no. I put my foot down. I said, I have these trains. I want to set them up that's a really nice freaking table. And it was. This is not something that you would put together from IKEA or something, with like thin plastic board and screws and stuff. No, this was a big, heavy, dang table, solid. It did come apart. You could take the top off of the base, which we did to get it down cellar. And the funniest part was, I was relatively young at the time, so it was mostly his boyfriend that did all of this. The funniest thing was that he couldn't fit it. He could fit the first part of the base through the cellar door, but then no matter how you turned it or whatever, or maybe he was just too, um, he didn't want to put the patience into figuring it out. But I think he was right that it wouldn't fit unless you took the door off, the cellar door. That wasn't going to happen. So he took a saw and cut off the end of one of the table legs. Well, not table legs, not like the part that it didn't have vertical table legs that went down, so it wasn't like one table leg was too short and wobbled. It had like this big wide table leg thing with like a foot going this way and a foot going that way, and he cut off the end of the foot so it would stand up just as fine as it always did. Cut off the end of one of the feet so that it would fit through the cellar door. Put that down there, put the top back on, and then I found the leaves for the table and made the table even bigger. And then I had some other like crappy fiberboard table thing that we weren't using anymore, and I cut that in half and put that on one end. And then I built this like thin plywood table thing to get around alongside the cellar stairs. And then basically at the end of the day, long story short, I had the big dining room table. I had I think it's pretty much the same table that I'm sleeping on now as a bed, like 4x8 table, but it wasn't 4 foot wide, it was 3 foot wide. That was at the bottom of the stairs, right? I guess the cat litter boxes were underneath it. Maybe they were somewhere else down somewhere. And then even further over to the right, there was one more big square, well, not that big, but it was a square table that the track just went around like a loop to come back. So I had my train spread out over 3 tables that covered 2 of the 4 walls of the whole basement. I covered like half the basement tables, practically. Well, not really half the basement. There was against the walls and stuff, but still. It was a big layout. In order to have power everywhere on the tracks, this was all the El Cheapo, some of it newer, 027 tracks. This is the base starter tracks that you get Lionel sets. In order to power this whole abomination of a train table that I made, I had to have 3 transformers. I had the main transformers with the main big table. Then I had another transformer with a big long wire. All the transformers were at one spot where I sat at the main table. I had a big long wire running to the table at the bottom of the stairs, and then I have an even longer wire running all the way down to the table that was at the end. And then, so I guess the layout was, the main table was the same layout as when I had it years later in this house with all the YouTube videos of it. That was the same. Well, no, it was that layout once I bought the O gauge track. That was all an O gauge kit. That layout. It was all one kit. I had modified it slightly and added a bunch of switches, but it was one big kit that I bought. So, it was in the back of the catalog, actually. That's the only thing I ever bought out of the catalog. Or at least I picked it out in the catalog, and then I had my mom go to City Line, the model train store. And she pointed it out to the guy and said, "I need that." And he said, "Oh, that's a good idea." And then he got me into the 022 switches. But anyway, I had to have insulated joint basically between the tracks with 3 plastic pins so that it could transfer from one transformer to the next transformer, right? And if the train wasn't going fast enough, it would short out between the 2 transformers and kill the whole table. I didn't quite know what I was doing back then. But anyway, the main table was sloped. I don't remember if it was always sloped. I think I probably put a piece of wood under one of the 2 big table-like things to make it sloped because I wanted to see the trains go uphill and then come downhill. That was smart. But I had a lot of long straightaways. This was when it was all 027 before I got the bigger layout. The O gauge layout with the crossovers and stuff. And so it would when it would go, I would have to goose up the power a bit enough so that it could make it up the hill. But then when it could come back down the hill, it would fly. So I had to always be at the controls and dial it back down. But sometimes I did catch it, and and this locomotive would just fly straight off the end of the table. Like the track turned, and the engine said, "I'm not turning," and it landed on the wheels. It only landed this bad once or twice. Usually, I had like a box with clothes in it or something soft, pillows, and I knew where it was going to fly off, and I managed to catch it, and no damage. But a couple of times, I think no more than twice, I'm pretty sure, because I was really taken back by this. But it landed right flat on the wheels on the concrete floor of the basement. And after that, then you turn on the power, and instead of the train moving, it just goes, and you hear the wheels grinding. I've taken it apart. I've fiddled with the motor mount a little bit, trying to get it in tight enough that it would work right, and it needs new gears or something. It needs a lot of work to make it work again. So this is a display piece. It's very heavy. It's nice. It's in less than good condition because, well, first off, it doesn't work. It needs to be fixed. And second off, I think the cow catcher's completely gone because, it also, one time, I think, it smashed headfirst into this concrete wall of the basement. Like, once again, turns this way, the train says, nope, I'm going straight. And went right face first into the wall and broke off the cow catcher. So, yeah, it's in pretty rough shape. It's kind of sentimental because the memories of young Red Bear figuring out how to run O-gauge trains and stuff. Like, they bought me this set when we realized that the old 027, the 1689E, the Grandpa's old train was not really going to work. And I would keep trying to make it work, and it would kind of work, and it was kind of like possessed because sometimes it would run good and sometimes it wouldn't. And then it would just sit there neutral, and then all of a sudden it would go into gear and just fly, spark all over the place. It was hilarious. He said it was possessed. But yeah. So this is kind of my start of getting into trains along with the really old set. And then when I got a bit older and I had a better setup, and for a while over there at that house, I moved the trains up into the attic, which was, well, I mean, it wasn't wet, at least up in the attic, but it was so hot in the summer. You could only run the trains when it was bearable in the winter. And then in the winter it was super cold, but I just put on a jacket or something and ran the trains up there. But it was a much smaller layout. I didn't have the space up in the attic. But and then I moved here. Yada yada yada. Oh, it was in a bedroom downstairs at that house for a while too, actually. That's where I was actually able to run them more. I was working at the railroad at the time, so I was like going on eBay and buying stuff here and there. This collection built up very slowly over many years. So yeah, and you guys have seen like probably what, half of it maybe? I don't know how many more boxes it fill out in the shed. But yeah, pretty wild. This is a display page now, along with the pendant. Unfortunate, what are you gonna do? Some of the cars, at least from the set, are fine. I haven't seen the caboose from the set yet. The caboose had some issues too. That was a lit caboose. I don't remember what's wrong with that. Okay, let me start putting stuff back in the box. Well, actually, I can do that after the stream. Be around for that. Did I have these switches here? Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna put it just on the screen. You don't need to keep looking at the camera. What time is it? 11:30. I didn't start until like 9 something. Right. I've been live for 2.5 hours. I don't know if I'm gonna do anything else. I'm just stop the stream a bit early. Just stop the stream early, to be honest. I've been kind of sore and just going through a lot with these trains all of a sudden out of nowhere. I mean, I've been wanting to do something with these trains for a while, and every once in a while I think about it. I'm like, God damn it, they're still out in that damn shed. Every once in a while I think about it, and they've been out there since like 2016. Like almost 10 years, I think. Going on, well, 7 years, I guess, right? 2016. Yeah, I can do math. But yeah. Yeah, I went out there to mow the lawn, which I couldn't do because the freaking battery in the running is dead. Ow. Sorry about that. If anybody is there, sorry about that. I just killed your ears, probably. Ow. Trying to put things away a little bit. So yeah, I'm glad something triggered me to make a point to get to do stuff. I wish years ago I did something because there is some extra damage in some of a few things that I don't think was there before. It's hard to tell. But you know. Actually, it doesn't really matter. All this stuff is heavy. Heavy. I'm gonna put all these switches somewhere else. But yeah, I don't know what else can I really. I'd love to be able to set these trains up again sometime. Obviously, get the table put together, but I would have to build a new table from scratch actually, because when I took all of this down and put it all away, for the tables too. I mean, one of the tables, the thinner table that was against one of the walls, maybe. I don't know. One of the thinner tables I put out in the shed, and then I piled all the train boxes and stuff on top of that. It's still out there, so it's still a bunch of train boxes on it. And then the smaller table, I want to say, smaller bit, that is down cellar next to where the washer and dryer was, but both washer and dryer don't work right now. Down there because I wanted to give Mom like a table that she could like fold laundry on or something, but of course there's just crap stored on it now. And but the big main table, that big old dining room table, fun story, the base of that table that my mom's always boyfriend might cut the 1 foot off of to fit in the basement. Well, when I decided I was going to get it up in the attic because I realized the stuff just couldn't be in the basement anymore because it's damp down there. The cats would run all over the table, and then I didn't run them for a while, and then the cats would like throw up on the table, and I didn't realize it because they'd eat their food, and then they'd go downstairs and use the litter box, and they'd throw up all over the place, and I didn't even notice it. And when that started happening, I was like, okay, okay, I need to move these freaking trains somewhere else. That's when I moved them up in the attic. When I moved them up in the attic, in order to get that big base of the table up in the attic, I actually had to cut the whole thing in half. The table with a circular, the base of the table with a circular saw. Just I had to cut it into two pieces to get it through the attic door because you had to make a really tight turn to get it up these terrible stairs. That was basically a ladder. And I'm a little confused because it almost seems like I'm missing one thing. Like it fit one more thing. I guess that's the way I want it. Standing up on his bed. Yeah. So I actually cut the whole thing. It was just one beam of wood that was the center of this base of the table. Cut it in half, got it up in the attic, and then after I got it up in the attic, I cut two pieces of 2x4s and spliced it on either side, almost like you would splint a broken leg or something. I screwed that back together, and then it's like, ta-da! I fixed it. Put the table back together up there. Anyway, that big table. Now, after I packed up all these boxes from the last place it was next door where I took all the videos and stuff, I had to just get rid of that table. I didn't have anywhere to put it. I cut it up into pieces and it's rotting away outside behind my workshop. Put it. And the reason why I didn't put it out for cleanup week, actually gotta fit these switches in. The reason why I didn't put it out for cleanup week or something is because now it's really growing in. At the time, the problem was, and it still is, that our town has a cleanup week where you can put out big stuff, but if anything is considered construction, they actually, they won't give you a fine, but they won't take it. That's construction debris. Like, well, how do you get rid of this stuff? You know? So this table, even though it's a dining room table, so it's not construction debris. In my youth, back in the day, of having that train table set up, I thought it was a really good idea to make some kind of a road going through the table. They have a road and then have the road cross the tracks in a few different places with a grade crossing. Oh yeah, that's I'm gonna bring in something because that's one thing I'm really terrible at is any kind of scenery with these train tables. It's all about the trains and the tracks. I don't really do much scenery wise. But anyway, I thought it was a good idea to have this road, and I planned out the road is going to go here and it's going to go there. And the way I made this road was by cutting up cardboard boxes, Avon boxes to be exact, into pieces. And then I would make the road out of all these pieces of Avon boxes. And then I guess probably I was thinking I would plaster over it and paint it or something, but it never got that far. But anyway, the way I attached all of these, you'd think I'd get a staple gun and just staple it. It's thin cardboard. I think it was 2 or 3 layers of cardboard box, cut up cardboard boxes that I made into this road. You'd think I would just staple it down or tacks or something. No. Young Red Bear thought it was a good idea to use paneling nails to attach little thin bits of cardboard to the table. And paneling nails, I don't know if you know, they got the little small heads. They're thin nails. But they're 2 inches long. The table is not 2 inches thick. So if you turn over that table, there's, I don't know how many nails, probably a whole box of nails, worth of nails, sticking out through the freaking bottom of the table. It's a hazard. It's just all nails. It's like a freaking, I don't know, like a spike board or something. Where I wanted to have all these roads And then also, I think I used probably some other kind of nails with a bigger head, but I tried to nail down the rails in the early days when I thought, oh, I got to nail down the tracks to keep them from coming apart, and, make the connections better and stuff. That never was that great of an idea because you always had to get the tracks apart eventually anyway, and try to clean them and stuff, or something would come apart anyway. And then when you had to pry up the tracks that were nailed down because they're freaking nails instead of screws, you'd end up destroying the rails pretty much. The metal little tin cross ties of the rails, you'd bend them trying to pry them back out. It was a bad idea. Eventually, I learned to use freaking screws instead of nails and a drill, and just zip the screw in. And if you had to take it off, you get the drill and you put it in reverse. And you take the screw back out. Oh, young Red Bear wasn't very smart. So yeah, story time, I guess. So yeah, there's tons of nails, probably some screws and stuff too, just sticking out through this board table. So now it's just rotting away, leaning up against the back of the shed or something, the mini barn. Because I don't know how to get rid of it, really. I would never put it out. With all those nails, I would think, even though it used to be a dining room table at one time, I would think they'd see all those nails and, oh, construction debris, and not touch it. I don't know. I was always afraid to put it out to the curb. And now it's just buried in pricker bushes and vines and stuff. It's part of the ground now, I guess. But yeah, that's what happened to the original train table. So if I somehow, I don't know, win the lottery or something that I didn't before, if I came to the means to be able to completely take over one or both of the rooms, set up that train. If I was able to do that again, I'd have to build a new table from scratch, which is no big deal, really. I should have done that years ago when I moved that stupid giant dining room table from the basement to the attic to the other room that was downstairs at that house, and then to this house. I should have junked that giant, heavy dining room table years ago and just built one out of 2x4s and plywood. That's what I did for the other extra tables around that connected to it, but I never did that for the main table. So if I ever was able to set up the trains again, then yeah, I would just get 2x4s and plywood and a drill and some screws and just build a table. Or sorry, bench work, I guess it's what you call it when it's for trains. Bench work. It's a table. It just happens to have trains on it. But yeah. I'd love to do that someday. Probably never gonna happen. But at least I'm getting the trains inside, in my room, under the bed, where I can't stand it when it's humid or when it's hotter than 78 degrees, so I have my air conditioner. It's going to be much better climate controlled. Yeah. They shouldn't get any more damaged, although so far, knock on wood, everything that I've looked at so far, for the most part, hasn't really been much more damaged. A couple of things looked like they might have rusted a tiny bit. And then a lot of locomotives in the gears where you would oil it, I'm seeing little bits of dirt, and maybe there's some rust flakes or something mixed in with it. That's why it's stuck to the gears, because it's magnet traction. So I'm gonna have to get an old toothbrush or something and try to clean those gears out. But I think that's relatively minor. I haven't seen anything that looks like it got rained on, which is exactly what I was hoping to see and what I'm worried about. That roof starting to just leak. And so far, I don't think it does yet. It's very close, but it's not leaking yet. So anyway, next stream, I don't know when it'll be. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. It's not going to be more trains unless I get out to that shed and bring in more boxes. I could, because I am making space under my bed. I have a couple of things, actually probably just one thing, that I need to carry over to the storage room next door. That printer that I know everybody's gonna tell me to throw it out, but it's, the printer part is never going to work yet, but it's still a working scanner. And scanners can come in handy. So, I mean, we have a printer scanner combo right now that does work. But I hate to just junk it. But I don't know. I don't know where. I don't have any place to put it, so it's gonna go. I think it can go in that back room, and then if we have to clean out that back room someday, then it can get thrown in. That's where we're going with that. Then I have this giant plastic tote tub thing, just full of pictures of my grandma and grandpa's old pictures, mostly. There might be some of my generation pictures mixed in there too. And there's some pictures like my mom's old wedding pictures in frames and stuff like that. It's all in this big, very heavy tote box that was under my bed, and it's not going back under my bed because that's where the train boxes were going. That's going to end up, it's downstairs right now because I put it on the floor downstairs next to the printer and scanner down there because we'd like to go through them and look at them, and I'd like to scan a lot of the stuff into the computer because we have the technology. It's a scanner. I can scan it in and go digital, and it will still keep those pictures somewhere. Obviously, it's backup, but go digital, and then you don't have to worry about trying to dig them out and look at them. But then after that, after I do that, where am I going to put this giant box full of pictures? I think it's going to end up in the storage room, that back room on the other side, but I don't know yet. I don't think there's anywhere else I could put it. It's not. I don't think it's going to be able to fit back under my bed because I've got more train boxes to go under there. I've also got a box of Atari stuff. I have an Atari 2600 with games, and it's all complete. I think it worked the last time I messed around with it, so I might do that as a stream someday. We'll do real Atari 2600 and hook it up to the back of my VCR, and then I have an easy cap device to hook up to OBS, and we'll play real Atari. Some of the best Atari games that I like, though, I've played with an emulator, and I don't have it in cartridge form, so I don't know. There's there's Space Invaders, and there's Asteroids. It would be a fun one-time stream, probably. I think it would be pretty easy to hook up because the hardest thing with hooking up like an Atari or an old Nintendo or something like that is that it always had that goofy switch box thing to switch between the game or the cable for the TV, and it always made everything fuzzy. It would make the TV fuzzy. Everybody hated it. What I have instead is I have a little adapter that you plug the wire from the Atari into, and then that adapter goes straight on the coaxial plug. You're not trying to mix with the TV feed because I don't care about TV. I don't even have a TV. So I could just plug that into the in coaxial in the back of the VCR, and it should be as perfect quality as an old Atari is going to get, I would think. The power cord is a little wonky for it, but it still works, I think. I don't know. It's probably really dirty. It wasn't very well protected under my bed. It didn't get pissed on, at least. But we'll see. That could be another stream sometime. And then next time I stream, I don't know, like tomorrow or the next day. It depends on if I bring in more boxes, but I'll probably get back to Derail Valley. I haven't done that in a while. Anywho, I should just say stream ending instead of BRB because, yeah, I'm going to stop the stream now. I've decided I have some boxes to stash away, and I'd like to, well, I can turn the lights off right now, but I have a few things I have to put away and then relax for a change. It's been a very busy couple of days for me. Not over yet. I'm really pissed that third monitor died on me. I might take that apart tonight though, because I'm wide awake. If anybody was here, I'd ask if you want me to do that on stream, but that's going to be a pain in the ass, and I don't know how I would have to do that up on the bed. And I'm 99% sure I'm not going to see any obvious problem. I'm not going to do what I did with that old TV and like take a guess at it needing a circuit board and buy a new circuit board for it, and then it doesn't fix it. I mean, I was only out like $15-20 on that, but still. it was worth a shot to make that TV work. But with this one, I'm going to take it apart unless I see something super obvious, like a blown capacitor, that's leaking or something like that, or broken wire. I'm just going to junk it for another monitor. Okay, anywho, I've gabbed on enough. I will see you guys next time. Later.